Well, hello everybody, and welcome to the latest Epic Universe construction update. If you're unaware, Epic Universe is a brand new theme park coming to Universal Studios Florida and is currently set to open in 2025. Not only is the construction progress in Epic Universe impressive, but its sheer size at over 750 acres is quite impressive as well. To give some perspective, Disney's Magic Kingdom is 107 acres, and Epic Universe will be the largest theme park in North America once it's completed. So to say this is an ambitious undertaking is a little bit of an understatement.
Agreed.
Epic Universe is located just 2 miles south of Universal Studios and Islands of Adventure in Orlando. This new park will include brand new lands themed to How to Train Your Dragon, the Wizarding World of Harry Potter, Universal Monsters, and my personal favorite, Super Nintendo World. Let's jump right in to today's update and check out the progress on Universal Monsters Dark Universe. To start off our tour of the Dark Universe, we have this shot of what is a giant tree that will be around the entrance to this land. And here at the arrows, we have what seems to be reference models for the painting of rocks and tree roots, and many of the roots can be seen at the right. When we zoom in a little bit here at the top, we see what seems like some tree growth, just going up a little bit. So this tree may end up being a little bit larger than we currently see here. And you can see a worker at the bottom left that gives some scale to just how big this structure really is. Now heading over to take a look at the Curse of the Werewolf roller coaster, we see the barn that is over the mid-course launch here. This is believed to be a shuttle that sends spinning riders backwards and then forwards to return in circuit to the station. This ride will be much like Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind and how the coaster will spin throughout this ride.
I'm dizzy.
And looking at the arrow to the left, we see what is likely to be how the roof will look on this building, and maybe a glimpse in how it'll look on all the buildings in this land as well, but we'll have to wait and see on that. Now in this alternate view of the Curse of the Werewolf roller coaster, we see at 1 what is likely a model of the themed roof. At 2 and 3 is chain link fencing around the track, which indicates there may be ride testing happening very soon. This is a theme you will start to see all over the park as well. At 4, we have a small building that is believed to be a quick service or take and go restaurant. And 5 is themed walls for the hillside of Burning Blade Tavern. Now in this more aerial over the top look, we see another angle of the barn / mid-launch building and landscaping that has been recently installed. Now, given Universal's recent statements about how they want to, quote, put the park back in theme parks, it's safe to assume we are going to see a lot of green start popping up around this entire park. And taking another look at the Curse of the Werewolf here, we see some large frames that are believed to be for themed tents that will go in here. Now heading over to the Burning Blade Tavern, which is the main food location in this land, we can see at 1, 2, 3, and 4 themed wall buttresses and columns that are in progress. And at 5 and 6 is completed themed walls of the hillside. Trees are to be within these walls as well. At 7, if we look closely, we can get a peek of the frame of the windmill through the scaffolding. And here we can see some theming models near the Burning Blade Tavern, and you'll notice in many shots in Epic Universe that they will have these models or samples sitting out near where they will be installed. Now heading over to the main attraction in the Dark Universe is the Gothic Manor attraction, and there isn't much here we can see in the way of progress on the building itself with all the scaffolding that you can currently see. But this is a great look at the courtyard in this area. But in this shot, if we do zoom in a bit, we are able to see some work peeking through the scaffolding at the tower, and the arrow is showing an area with some completed paint. Now looking over the main entrance to the Dark Manor attraction, we have some progress here though, and at 1 are frames for columns in the walls. At 2, there are some archway frames, and it seems like there might be water or a moat in here, perhaps a fountain. And at 3, there are frames along the tops of the walls. And this is kind of cool here. So if we zoom in on this wide shot, we can actually see what seems to be one of the robotic arm mechanisms for the KUKA arm-based ride system that will be featured in this attraction being loaded into the show building. So it's very cool to see this much progress being made on the inside, perhaps as much as the outside.
Huzzah!
And if you're unaware of what a KUKA arm ride system is, you can look at this video right here to kind of give you an idea of it. And you can also check out the Forbidden Journey ride over at Hogsmeade at Universal Studios. All right, it's time to head over to check out some progress over in Super Nintendo World. We'll go ahead and start first checking out the Donkey Kong roller coaster. And in this shot, we can see a great view of the broken track elements that this coaster will be, quote, jumping over. But as we've talked about before, the real coaster track is running along the side of the entire ride to give the illusion that you're jumping broken elements in the track. Just like in the old Donkey Kong Country game, like I've said before, if you haven't played, you should, because it's a great game and will give you a really good idea of how this roller coaster is meant to feel. Also here at 1, we see a reach test vehicle to make sure that people can't touch anything when they're in the rides, and we will see these all over the park as they are very much in this phase of construction. At 2 is the direction of travel. 3 is a frame for some theming. 4 is a splash area in the track underneath it. And at 5 is plumbing at this kiosk, which makes me wonder if this is going to be a quick service stand perhaps, as I don't know why you would need plumbing in this area. It was believed this was going to be a meet and greet area. I'm starting to wonder if this is going to be quick service. Now here's a close-up of the vehicle reach test that is attached to what is likely an actual ride vehicle with a cover on it. And here's one of the best looks we've had at this ride vehicle system and how it will work. As we can see, the car is sitting on top, but is actually anchored to the track on the side. And in this shot, we can see some chain link fencing at the base, which again indicates there will be ride testing happening very soon. And here we can see at 1 and 2, both reach test cars can be seen at the same time. There's another angle showing up that will show you a little bit the other one, but there are 2 on the track at the same time right now. At 3, there is theming over at Yoshi's Adventure. And 4, a look through the scaffolding at the theming of Mount Beanpole. And at this angle, we can see at 1, scaffolding where a waterfall is going to be. And at 2 is a temporary platform over the river at the base of the waterfall. And 3 and 4 are views of some very swift turns. And in this shot, we have at 1, an interesting color variation. At 2, we have lattice for theming, and the theming is in progress at the scaffolding to the left as well. At 3, we have theming in progress at areas of the show building, and 4 and 5 are both reach test cars, which we can see very clearly in this shot. Now, one thing to note, we are seeing significant progress made on just about every construction update over here at the Donkey Kong Coaster, as the details are starting to come together on this highly anticipated attraction. Now, heading to the other side of this land in the Mushroom Kingdom, we are seeing some theming happening on the Yoshi's Adventure area, and a tall structure at the left is Mount Beanpole, where we're starting to see some more exterior theming peeking through the scaffolding. And here's one of the best looks we've had yet at the entrance portal of Super Nintendo World, and this gives you a great idea of the sense of the scale that this entrance is going to have. And if you're unfamiliar with the way the entrance to this land will work, is you will walk through the famous green tubes, go up an escalator into Peach's Castle, where you will then walk out into the Mushroom Kingdom from the castle. The buildings to the right are starting to get some theming as well, and these buildings are believed to be a Nintendo shop and cafe that will be outside of the land. Now, the reason they are going to be outside the land is believed that if the land is closed for capacity or a private event is going on, that guests can still experience Nintendo-themed elements here. Here we can see some more theming elements installed on the Yoshi's Adventure track, so that ride is slowly but surely coming along. And looking over here at Peach's Castle, which again, this is where guests will enter the land, we can see at the arrow where there are some facades in progress. Now, it's my guess that we will start seeing scaffolding going up on Peach's Castle soon for exterior theming, as well as over on the Mario Kart attraction. All right, from plumbers to wizards, let's take a quick look over at the Wizarding World section of Epic Universe. Now, if you remember the last few looks in here, we didn't have anything we were able to really see as much as progress with all the scaffolding going on for the exterior work, and that trend, unfortunately, is still holding true.
That's no fun.
As most of the construction in this area has scaffolding covering it, so we're not going to spend a lot of time over here, but there are some things to point out. Now, here in this shot, we can see some more theming and details emerging in this courtyard that will be reachable by guests only through alleys, much like Nocturne Alley over in Diagon Alley, if you've ever checked that out. Over at the entrance portal, we can see some more theming peeking through the scaffolding, but we are still waiting on what is believed to be a giant hand holding a wand to be placed on top of the pillar here at the entrance portal. Now, here we can see what is probably going to be a theme in the coming months, as we see lots of trees that have been recently added to this area. Now that the construction on most parts of Epic Universe is exterior theming and details inside of buildings, we're probably going to start seeing a lot more greenery appearing and a lot less mud. And like I mentioned, it's hard to see much progress in this land, as nearly every exterior is covered with scaffolding, including a narrow street at front and center here, where scaffolding has a narrow gap. Now, in terms of updates that we can really see in this area, that's kind of about it. But these shots of the Wizarding World are great to give some idea of the scale and size of this highly anticipated land. All right, from wizards to dragons, it's time to head over to the Isle of Berk to check out the How to Train Your Dragon land. Now here over at the Spinning Dragon Ride, we can see that both sides now have concrete pads installed, and there's also the seating elements of this ride that have been installed, and theming on those is currently underway. And if you're unfamiliar with this ride, it will be as if a dragon is on the counterbalance end of the arm and is propelling riders around to simulate having a dragon race. This will also have stands nearby, and this is mimicking elements from the How to Train Your Dragon movies. Now you can see how close this attraction is to the roller coaster in this land, and it's believed that the roller coaster track at the right will be passing through a themed stadium, like we mentioned before, to simulate the dragon races from the movies. So there will be a lot of kinetic energy in this entire land, as you will see in some of the upcoming shots. Now over at the Dragon roller coaster, we can see at 1 a reach test device that we've seen on many roller coasters all over the park now. At 2 is the first launch of the roller coaster. And at 3, the roof is getting more theming, and we can see rock theming on the chimney. And 4 is likely space that will be used for the ride queue. And if you're unfamiliar with this ride, we will do a greater breakdown of this entire land in another video. But this roller coaster, if I had to describe it, is going to be much like a Hagrid's family version. So not quite as intense as Hagrid's, but have a lot of the elements of show buildings you ride through and various launches all throughout the roller coaster. In another angle of the Dragon roller coaster, we can see at 1, darker wood beams are actually painted steel framed over the first launch. And at 2 is a frame to hide the spurs to the service building. 3 is another reach test device. And 4 is some stone theming again on the chimney of the loading and unloading area. And we can also see chain link fencing at the bottom here, which again means this ride is also probably soon to have ride testing beginning.
Hot dang!
Now here's a really great view of the entrance portal into the How to Train Your Dragon land. So as soon as guests walk in this area, they will be met by these twin statues that will be in a body of water, and just like in the movies, so you would literally be walking into a movie in a sense. We can see some stone theming on top of the portal tower at the bottom and framing underneath for what is likely a rocky spire here. We see the wooden walkways and lots of scaffolding in this area, but it's really shaping up to be an incredible first impression when you walk into this land. And we zoom out a little bit, we can see artists are weaving the frame for a rock wall that again will separate the guest entrance from the exit flows. In this shot, we have some current work on a rocky spire with a dragon perch on top of a restaurant at the left. And this seems like the tower above the portal will be a very similar spire to this one. And here's another look at the wooden walkway in this area. And from this angle, we can see some of the stone theming with moss on it, where this area will be filled with water. There are also log posts that have been added along the water's edge as well, so the theming in this area is really starting to pick up. We can also see in this shot around the coaster track where it dives under the walkway, where at the arrow is probably where a dragon will be perched. Now near this area is also an interesting themed gap in the seawall, and we can see some rock theming coming through the scaffolding in this area as well. Now checking out the Great Hall restaurant, which is the main restaurant in this land, we can see some supports on the exterior for the rocky theming that will be on the entire exterior of the restaurant. And at 1, we have the theater entrance for the show that is likely to be the same show they have out in Beijing called Untrainable. At 2, we have a perch for a dragon. 3 is the dock for the land's boat ride area. Number 4, we have the Great Hall again being faced with rock work. 5 is a service building, and 6 is a roller coaster service building. And here we can see a closer look at the load and unload dock for the boat ride. And here at the second launch of the How to Train Your Dragon roller coaster, we see some extensive rock work going on in this area. Now this area on the other side of the roller coaster is rumored to be a kids play area. You can also see a quick service food location under construction to the right that is making some nice progress as well. All right, let's head over to the center of the park and check out the progress in this area of Epic Universe. We'll first head over to the entrance area real quick, and here in this shot, we can see at 1 is a themed roof painting going on. At 2 and 3 are likely locations of these themed roofs and where they will go. 4 is likely the VIP room area. At 5, we have work underway for the center spans of the signature gateway of this park. And at 6, we have excavation for a water feature. Here in this shot, we can see the admission area, and at the dome at the left in this aerial photo is where the admission and sales building will be for Epic Universe. And the security building in the admission area is going to be at the center. Now here in a close-up view of the archways that will be at the entrance of the park, we can see that the concrete here seems to be done and we'll likely get some exterior theming very soon. Zooming out a little bit, we can see at center our concrete forms for a water feature, and the Octagon is a waterside restaurant that will be to the left when you enter the park, and it is currently covered in scrimps. Now another restaurant in the center area of Epic Universe is likely to be a barbecue restaurant that we can see right here in the center. Now this seems to be really close to being completed, at least on the exterior, but I will be interested to see the theming that will be part of this restaurant once completed. Now going a little further into the park here, we can see work that is currently ongoing for the large fountain that will be featured in the park. And in this picture, we get a really good look at what is likely to be a splash pad for the kiddos as well. Now here's a great shot of the central corridor that is believed to be called Celestial Park. Now next to the fountain, we can see the large domes, which is believed to be a family carousel attraction called Constellation Carousel. Now not much progress is visible on Constellation Carousel, but the sheer size of the domes is something to behold because it is going to be huge. Now around Constellation Carousel, we can see some recent concrete progress here, and this will be a pond with water features. All right, let's head over to the dueling roller coaster that's going to be called Starfall Racers, where we can see some progress that has been made over here. Now here we can see the roof is likely done, and at 1 we have the attraction entrance, and at 2 and 3 we have interesting relatively short concrete walls. Not sure what those are going to be quite yet. And zooming out a bit, we can see work is in progress between the arrows for the next section of the maintenance access path. Now there isn't much else to report on this attraction, as this attraction is likely the closest to being completed and should be getting some ride testing starting very soon as well. Alright, and our last stop on our construction tour here is to check out the hotels that are under construction around and inside of Epic Universe. We're first going to check out the 2 sister hotels on the outskirts of Epic Universe, and here we have some major progress on the mosaic-styled tiles that will wrap around both of these hotels.
Beautiful.
Here it looks like it's a red to blue motif, and we can see here how the tiles will wrap around the entire building. Now over at this second hotel, to get these color changing tiles, we see work has started in placing the tiles here. So far it looks to have more of a red color palette, but it will likely have varying colors like the other hotel. But I will be interested to see if it's the same color palette or if we have other colors thrown in here. Now other than the tiles being installed and more progress being made there, we can't really see much else on the 2 sister hotels that are sitting outside the park. But heading over to the in-park hotel, we can see some more vertical progress has been made, as it seems the hotel is up to about 8 floors that are currently being worked on. Now we aren't sure how many floors the hotel will have when completed, but looking at the concept art, we can get a rough idea that it's maybe between anywhere from 8 to 10 floors, somewhere in there. It could be higher than that because we don't know if the concept art is actually the final plans for this hotel. And here we can see some more exterior theming on the end cap of the in-park hotel over here. And here's a shot of the front of the hotel, and we can see some concrete forms for extending the lobby and other elements of the hotel as well. And in this shot, we can see the parking garage, which is going to be exclusive to hotel guests, in the foreground. And in the top right will be the tropical pool and outdoor recreation area. Now I am curious as to how this is going to look and feel once completed, because if you look right to the left of the pool area at the top, that is where the dark universe is. So will you be able to hear sounds from the parks in the pool area, or will they do some sound engineering where you won't hear or see anything? Time will tell, of course, but it's just something interesting because I've never seen a hotel be so close to actually in-park attractions. All right, that is going to do it for this Epic Universe construction update. Be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel before you leave, as we will be doing more Epic Universe updates and land previews as construction progresses. And here at Capture the Magic, we also have vlogs and informational videos to help you have the best time when you are heading to Universal Studios and or Disney World. And over on the CTM Podcast YouTube channel, you can check out our podcast where we discuss all things theme parks in much greater detail. So I'm curious, what parts about the Epic Universe construction updates do you like the most? Let us know in the comments, as your answers will help us shape our content in this area going forward. So until next time, we will see you in the parks.